Hey everyone. We live in a world that often makes us question our value, our worth, and our place in the spaces we inhabit. Sometimes the toughest lesson life asks us to learn is this: to walk away from places, people, and situations where we are not appreciated. And that lesson, though painful, is a gift of clarity, courage, and self-respect. Let's be honest, walking away is never easy. We want to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. That's a fundamental human need. Yet in some spaces, no matter how brightly we shine or how much we give, our light seems to be ignored or dismissed. And here's the truth we must hold onto tightly: our worth does not diminish simply because someone else refuses to see it. When we stay in places where our value is overlooked, we begin to shrink. Slowly, without realizing it, we silence parts of ourselves. We accommodate, we adjust. And in doing so, we lose sight of the person we were always meant to be. Walking away is not a rejection of others. It's an act of returning to ourselves. There's a powerful myth that many of us carry in our hearts, often without realizing it. It's the idea that if we just work a little harder, love a little deeper, or prove ourselves a little more, the people around us will finally see our worth. It's a narrative rooted in the belief that appreciation is something we have to earn. But let me tell you something: appreciation is not a lesson you are responsible for teaching. We need to stop treating our value like it's a hidden treasure that others must be convinced to uncover. Your worth is not a puzzle for others to solve. It's not your job to shrink yourself into someone's limited vision or to mold yourself into a shape that someone else finds pleasing. The people who genuinely value you will see your brilliance without you having to dim or distort it. Think about it. How many times have you overextended yourself for someone who didn't even notice? How many times have you given more than you had, hoping that your effort would finally earn their respect, their validation, or their love? And how many times have you been left feeling exhausted, invisible, or even resentful when it didn't work? It's not that these people are inherently bad or malicious. Sometimes they simply don't have the capacity to appreciate you, and that has nothing to do with you. Appreciation is not about how hard you work to gain it. It's about the other person's ability to recognize and acknowledge your value. That ability comes from their perspective, their maturity, and their willingness to see beyond themselves. When you make it your mission to teach someone to appreciate you, you're handing over your power. You're placing your self-worth in their hands, hoping they'll give it back to you in the form of recognition. But here's the truth: no one gets to define your value. It exists independently of their acknowledgement or approval. Walking away when you're not appreciated isn't about giving up or admitting defeat. It's about recognizing that your energy is sacred. It's about choosing not to pour yourself into a cup that refuses to hold water. When you stay in spaces where you're undervalued, you're sending a message to yourself and to others that it's okay to overlook you. But when you leave, you reclaim your narrative. You remind yourself and the world that you are not a lesson to be taught, you are a gift to be treasured. Let me leave you with this: appreciation should feel natural, like sunlight warming your skin. It shouldn't feel like a battle you have to fight every day. So stop trying to teach others to see your worth. Save your energy for the spaces and people who already do, because those are the places where you will truly thrive. Does this expansion resonate with the tone and depth you're looking for? Let me know if you'd like more adjustments. Imagine a beautiful garden that you've planted and tended with care. You water it, you pull the weeds, and you wait patiently for flowers to bloom. But after a while, you notice that no matter how much effort you put in, the flowers don't grow. The soil is barren, the sun never quite reaches it, and all your hard work feels wasted. That's what it's like staying in a space where you're not appreciated. It drains your energy without yielding any meaningful growth. We often underestimate how much of ourselves we give to the spaces we occupy. Whether it's a relationship, a workplace, a friendship, or even a community, these environments demand a part of us, our time, our focus, our emotional investment. And when those spaces don't value us, they don't just fail to give back, they actively drain us. They rob us of the energy we could be using to nurture the places and people who would celebrate us. Staying in the wrong space isn't just about feeling undervalued, it's about the cost. Every moment you spend trying to prove yourself to someone who refuses to see your worth is a moment you're not spending on your own growth. Every ounce of energy you pour into a space that doesn't honor you is energy you could be using to build, create, and thrive elsewhere. Think about the opportunities you might be missing. While you're stuck in a place that refuses to appreciate you, the right opportunities could be passing you by. The right people could be searching for someone just like you, someone with your talents, your kindness, your unique brilliance. But they can't find you because you're too busy trying to make the wrong space work. It's not your job to make barren soil fertile. Sometimes the problem isn't your effort, it's the environment. If a space doesn't have the capacity to support your growth, staying won't change that. In fact, the longer you stay, the more you risk convincing yourself that the problem is you, that if you just work harder or give more, things will improve. But this is a lie that keeps us stuck. The truth is, your energy is precious and it deserves to be invested in places that nourish and uplift you. Walking away from the wrong space is not an act of failure, it's an act of wisdom. It's a recognition that you have finite energy and you must protect it. It's a declaration that you are worthy of spaces that celebrate your presence, not just tolerate it. When you walk away, you're not giving up your creating room. Room for the right spaces, the right people, and the right opportunities to find you. You're opening the door to environments where your energy will be reciprocated, where your contributions will be valued, and where your growth will be supported. So I want you to ask yourself, where is your energy going? Is it being poured into something that fills you up, or is it being drained by something that holds you back? If it's the latter, have the courage to step away. Because when you let go of what's not right, you create space for what is. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Guard it fiercely, protect it wisely, and above all, make sure it's being invested in spaces that see, honor, and celebrate your worth. Does this lengthened version capture the depth you're looking for? Let me know if there's more you'd like me to expand on. Walking away often gets misunderstood. People might label you as bitter, resentful, or even selfish for leaving a space where you weren't appreciated. But walking away isn't about carrying bitterness in your heart. It's about protecting your heart. It's an act of setting a boundary, not harboring hostility. Boundaries are powerful tools of self-respect. They are not walls meant to isolate you from the world. They are gates that determine what and who gets access to your energy, your peace, and your well-being. When you walk away, you're not rejecting people or situations out of anger. You're choosing to honor yourself, your values, and your emotional health. And that choice is one of the most courageous acts of self-love you can make. Think about this when you continue to stay in a place where you are undervalued. What are you teaching the people around you? You're teaching them that it's okay to overlook you. You're teaching them that you'll tolerate being taken for granted. And perhaps worst of all, you're teaching yourself that your feelings, your needs, and your worth don't matter. Walking away is the boundary that breaks that cycle. It says, I will not allow myself to be treated as though I am less than I know I am. Walking away also means accepting a simple truth: not every space is meant for you. Not every person will value what you bring. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not enough. It simply means that the alignment isn't there. Staying in a space out of fear or obligation only leads to resentment, and that resentment weighs heavily on your soul. Leaving, however, frees you. It allows you to protect your energy and move towards spaces that align with your values and honor your presence. But let's address the fear that comes with walking away. It's easy to worry about how others will perceive your choice. Will they think you're ungrateful? Will they accuse you of being too sensitive? These are valid concerns, but here's the truth: how others interpret your boundaries is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself, to ensure that you're living in a way that honors your peace and protects your dignity. Walking away isn't bitterness, it's clarity. It's the realization that staying where you're not appreciated only drains you and diminishes your sense of self. Bitterness comes from staying too long, from giving and giving until there's nothing left, and then feeling angry at the people who never gave back. Boundaries, on the other hand, prevent that bitterness from taking root. They remind you to walk away before you reach the point of exhaustion or resentment. Remember, walking away doesn't mean slamming the door shut with anger. It doesn't mean burning bridges or cutting ties in a way that leaves you feeling empty. It means closing a chapter with grace and moving forward with hope. It means saying, this space is no longer for me, and that's okay. It's about release, not retaliation. Walking away also creates a ripple effect. It teaches others how to treat you and sets an example for those around you. You're showing that self-respect is non-negotiable, that boundaries are healthy, and that bitterness is not the answer. You're showing that walking away is not a rejection of others, but an embrace of yourself. So when you walk away, do it with your head held high. Do it with peace in your heart, knowing that you're choosing yourself not out of spite, but out of love. Let go of the need to explain or justify your decision. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. Walking away is not an act of bitterness. It's an act of wisdom. It's a declaration of your worth and a testament to your strength. So when you need to leave, don't hesitate. Set the boundary not with anger, but with grace. Because every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you're walking toward what does. Does this version capture the depth and insight you were looking for? Let me know if you'd like me to expand on any other aspects. We live in a world that constantly tries to measure our value based on conditions. Society tells us that our worth is tied to what we achieve, how we look, how much we give, or even how others perceive us. It's a narrative that can make us feel like we have to perform, prove, and please just to earn the right to feel worthy. But I want to tell you something that will set you free. Your worth is not conditional, it is inherent. What does that mean? It means that your value doesn't come from what you do or how others treat you. It doesn't depend on whether someone appreciates you or not. Your worth exists simply because you exist. It's unshakable, untouchable, and not up for negotiation. It's like the air we breathe or the sun that rises each day. It's there, constant and undeniable, no matter what. But here's the challenge: we often forget this truth. When we stay in spaces where we're not appreciated, we start to internalize that lack of recognition. We begin to question ourselves. Why don't they see my value? Am I not good enough? Am I doing something wrong? These questions don't reflect reality, they reflect the conditioning that teaches us to seek external validation. Let me make this clear: someone's inability to see your worth doesn't diminish it. A diamond doesn't lose its value because someone fails to recognize it. And you too are a diamond. You don't need someone's approval or appreciation to confirm what is already true about you. When you understand that your worth is inherent, it changes everything. You stop trying to fit into spaces where you don't belong. You stop bending over backward to earn the approval of people who aren't capable of giving it. You stop tying your self-esteem to how others treat you. Instead, you start to protect your energy, your peace, and your sense of self. You begin to walk through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that your value is not something anyone can take away. It's also important to realize that your worth isn't something you have to prove. You don't need to exhaust yourself trying to convince others that you're valuable. The right people, the right spaces, and the right opportunities will recognize your worth without you having to beg for it. Appreciation isn't something you have to chase. It's something that comes naturally when you're in the right environment. But understanding your inherent worth also comes with responsibility. You have to live in alignment with it. That means making choices that reflect your value, even when those choices are hard. It means walking away from relationships, jobs, or situations that don't honor you. It means saying no to people who demand too much and give too little. It means standing firm in your boundaries, even when it feels uncomfortable. One of the greatest acts of self-love is to believe in your worth even when others fail to see it. To say, I am enough without waiting for someone else to validate it. To know deep in your soul that your value is not tied to external circumstances, it's tied to your very existence. So the next time you find yourself in a space where you're not appreciated, remind yourself of this truth: your worth is not up for debate. It doesn't rise and fall with someone else's opinion. It doesn't disappear because someone fails to see it. And it doesn't grow because someone finally recognizes it. Your worth simply is. Walking away from spaces that don't honor you isn't an act of arrogance, it's an act of alignment. It's choosing to live in a way that reflects the truth about who you are. And when you live from that place of inherent worth, you create a life that honors your value in every way. Your worth is not conditional, fleeting, or dependent on anyone else. It's inherent, eternal, and unwavering. Hold on to that truth and let it guide you to the spaces where you are truly celebrated. Does this expanded version provide the depth and tone you're looking for? Let me know if there's anything more you'd like to add. There's something deeply transformative about walking away from a place where you're not appreciated. At first, it can feel like an ending, like you're closing a door that you thought might never shut. It can be scary, uncertain, and even heartbreaking. But here's the truth: walking away is not the end. It's the beginning of renewal. It's the start of something new, something better, something aligned with the person you are becoming. Endings are often misunderstood. We see them as failures, as losses, as moments that strip something away from us. But in reality, endings are a necessary part of growth. Just as a tree must shed its old leaves to make room for new ones, we too must let go of what no longer serves us to make space for renewal. Walking away is not a sign of defeat, it's a declaration of hope. It's saying, I believe there is something greater ahead for me, and I'm willing to make space for it. When you walk away, you're choosing to reclaim your energy. Think about how much time, effort, and emotional labor you pour into spaces that don't appreciate you. Think about the late nights spent overthinking, the constant second guessing, the endless efforts to prove your worth. All of that energy could be redirected towards something more fulfilling, toward dreams, relationships, and opportunities that honor who you truly are. Walking away is the first step in a process of renewal that begins within. It forces you to reflect on what truly matters to you, what you value, and what you need in order to thrive. It's a moment of clarity where you realize that staying in the wrong space isn't just costing you peace, it's costing you potential. By walking away, you're not just leaving something behind, you're moving toward a future that aligns with your worth. But let's be honest, renewal isn't immediate. Walking away often comes with a period of discomfort. You might feel unsure of your decision, tempted to return, or fearful about what comes next. These feelings are natural, but they're also temporary. Think of this phase as the pruning process. Just as a gardener trims back branches to encourage healthy growth, walking away trims away what no longer serves you so that something beautiful can take its place. And here's the powerful part: renewal isn't just about what you gain externally, it's about what you discover internally. When you walk away, you're forced to confront your own resilience. You're reminded of your strength, your ability to adapt, and your capacity to create a life that reflects your true self. You begin to rebuild, not from a place of emptiness, but from a place of possibility. Renewal also opens the door to new connections and opportunities. When you let go of spaces that don't appreciate you, you create room for spaces that do. You attract people who see your value, environments that nurture your growth, and paths that align with your purpose. But these things can't come into your life until you're willing to release what's holding you back. Walking away is also a statement of trust in yourself and trust in the process of life. It's saying, I trust that I am capable of building something better. I trust that my worth will be recognized in the right space. I trust that this ending is leading me to a new beginning. This trust is what allows renewal to unfold. So when you're faced with the decision to walk away, remember this: it's not the end of your story. It's the end of a chapter that was no longer serving you and the beginning of a new one filled with possibility. It's an act of faith in yourself and your future. Renewal is a process, and walking away is the first step. It may not feel easy, but it will feel right. And as you move forward, you'll look back and realize that leaving wasn't an ending at all, it was a necessary beginning. Walk away boldly, not because you're giving up, but because you're stepping into something greater. Renewal awaits, and it starts the moment you let go. Does this keynote provide the depth and encouragement you were envisioning? Let me know if there's anything you'd like adjusted or expanded further. As we come to the close of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on the power of walking away when you are not appreciated. The truth is, you are worthy of respect, love, and acknowledgement simply because you exist. And when a space, a person, or a situation fails to recognize that inherent worth, walking away is not a sign of weakness or failure, it is an act of strength and self-respect. You are not responsible for teaching others to appreciate you, nor should you stay in environments that drain your energy and spirit. Walking away isn't about bitterness, it's about creating healthy boundaries that honor your value. Your worth is not conditional on someone else's validation, and when you walk away, you are taking back your power and choosing the space where you are truly seen, valued, and appreciated. Walking away is not an end. It is the beginning of something far greater. It marks the moment of renewal when you shed what no longer serves you and make room for the life, the relationships, and the opportunities that will nurture your growth. It is a powerful statement of self-trust and faith in what's to come. As you move forward, remember this: you deserve to be in spaces that honor and appreciate you for who you truly are. Walking away from what doesn't serve you is the first step toward aligning with the life you deserve, one filled with joy, respect, and fulfillment. Let go of what weighs you down and make space for what lifts you up. In the end, walking away is not an act of surrender. It is an act of empowerment. It's choosing to invest your time, your energy, and your love in places where you will be valued, appreciated, and free to become the best version of yourself. So when the time comes, don't hesitate. Walk away not in anger or resentment, but in the peaceful knowledge that you are creating space for your own renewal. Your journey is just beginning, and it is beautiful.